Our next lesson in Chapter 7, use functions involving e. You definitely need a calculator for this lesson. There's a button that I need you to be able to find in order to evaluate. Let's think interest. Back in 7.2, we talked about compounding interest, maybe like monthly or yearly or semi-annually. But the more times the bank would compound your money, the more interest you end up getting. We talked about what would be a better rate depending on, how many years it was and all that kind of stuff. But if you kept getting interest compounding more and more often throughout the year, it forms what's called the natural base E. Take a look at this formula down below. It's kind of a modification of our compound interest formula. As the number n gets bigger in the denominator and the exponent gets bigger, that value approaches what we call E, which is just kind of like a constant value. It's approximately 2.718281828 repeating. This would mean you have a growth formula if E is your new base. So I'm hoping you can find E on your calculator. E is a function that we'll use and evaluate with our exponents and with other kind of situations. So looking for E, if you have a scientific calculator, you may see a button that says ln, and above that button there's an e to the x, or an E. Other scientific calculators, you may see the word log, and you'll have to press that button and enter down and over, and then you'll find E. If you have a graphing calculator, E is going to be on the bottom left-hand side where that ln function is. E is right above it. Hopefully, whatever calculator you're working on, you can find it. And then once you type in E, it should give you like an arrow up and then a parenthesis. So I'd like you to just type in 1 and then press enter. And you should get that 2.71828 repeating. It just keeps going on and on. That means for every dollar that you would invest, if you had interest being compounded often, you'd get $2.72 back at the end of a year. The unique thing with graphing with a base of E is we'll model it very similar to growth and decay, but E always represents that 2.718 number. So technically E itself is going to be our new base, which would typically be a growth function, but we're going to look at our x value to determine if we have growth or decay. If your x, or the x exponent is greater than 0, that means we have a growth function. But if x has a negative in front of it, so it's less than 0, that would model a decay function. And you can see down below we have y equals e to the positive x. That means a would equal 1. And over on the right, y equals e to the negative x. And the second one is a reflection over the y-axis. When we work with E, we'll be asked to both simplify and evaluate. When we simplify, we'll just apply our properties of exponents, and we've done lots of work with that. Let's take a look at a few examples down below. If we have e to the 4th power times e to the 5th power, when we multiply like bases, we simply add our exponents together. And 4 plus 5 would be e to the 9th power. To simplify just means to combine the terms, there's one base in your final answer. Anytime we had an exponent of 0, it really didn't matter what our base was. The answer is always 1. Now in the next one, I believe you have to add this 6 to your notes. I don't think that was there before. So if it's there now, great. If not, go ahead and add that in. If we take e squared and raise it to the 6th power, power to a power, we multiply. And that becomes e to the 2 times 6, which is e to the 12th power. The last two involve coefficients, and I know we've done a lot of work with those, and they've been kind of tricky. I want to give you as many examples as possible to use as a resource when you work independently. In the next example, we have a fraction, 24e to the 8th divided by 6e squared. If we have 24 over 6, we're just going to simplify that part of the fraction without worrying about exponent rules at all. 24 divided by 6 is just 4. And then if we take a look at the e's right next to it, we have e to the 8th divided by e to the 2nd. To simplify the exponents, we subtract numerator minus denominator. And that would give us 4e to the 6th power. And that's as simplified as that gets. There we go. I don't like that. Oh, sorry. Now I've just made it worse, everybody. All right, let's try that again. All right, we'll take it. And then the last one, we have a product. This one gets kind of tricky, so hopefully you're paying attention. Stick with me here on this one. We have 5e to the 4th times negative 7e to the negative 9. The numbers that are on the outside are not connected to the exponents in any way, so we're just going to multiply them. 5 times negative 7 is negative 35. A negative coefficient doesn't find a reciprocal or anything. It just stays negative 35. And this time with your e, we have two e's being multiplied together. So we're going to kind of model it the way we did that first one. If we have e to the 4 plus negative 9x, they're technically not like terms. We would have to just write this problem out kind of as a sum right there, actually a difference to be honest. Negative 35 e to the 4 minus 9x. That's as simplified as that gets. So take a look at this though. I want you to be careful that when you wrote it out, the 4 minus x looks like an exponent to the base of e. So if you have to write it higher up just to make sure it looks like it's supposed to, be sure to do that. The difference between simplifying with the properties or evaluating will be clear in the directions. Notice it says round your answer to 4 decimal places. Anytime you see round in your answer, think calculator friendly. And we'll really just plug this in. If we have e to the 3rd power, find that e function again, and depending on what kind of calculator you have, it might take a little bit. And we're just going to go e with a little arrow up, and then 3. And if we round our answer to 4 decimal places, that's going to be approximately 20.0855. Make sure you can get that on your calculator. If you can't find this e function or your calculator at home doesn't have that, let me know and we'll try to figure out a way to help you out during class. And in that second one, even though we have a negative exponent, we're just typing this in on our calculator. We don't have to apply our property rules. If we go e and then arrow up, be careful with that negative 2 divided by 5. Just put a parenthesis around that. And if we type that in and press enter, we get approximately 0.6703. If your exponent is negative, your answer gets smaller. You'll notice we didn't do a lot of work with graphing with E, but we will do application. It says the number of camera phones shipped globally is modeled by the equation y equals 1.28 e to the 1.31x power. It's quite the equation there. It says x is the number of years since 2015, and y would be the number of camera phones in the millions. How many cameras would be shipped this year? Well, if x is time, represented from years since 2015, in 2023, x would equal, oops, I'm not writing it all up correctly. Wow, sorry. All right, let's try that again. In 2023, x would actually equal 8. There's a lot of work to get to that. So we would just type in or plug in 8 on in our formula. So y equals 1.28 e to the 1.31 times 8 power. Now again, we have to be careful how we enter this in. I'll show you what I mean. You can type 1.28 and get e to show up on your calculator. Make sure to type 1.31 times 8, but then close that parenthesis. That's going to be critical to get the correct answer. Now this is going to be in millions. So y is approximately, I get 45,563 million phones. That's a lot of phones. I think this formula is a little exaggerated, but we'll go with it. And last but not least, in this lesson, we're going to circle back to that interest formula that we kind of started with at the beginning of the lesson. If you keep earning interest and it goes on forever and ever and ever, the key word that you'll recognize in a word problem is called continuously. If interest is compounded continuously, we change from our compound interest formula to a formula we call PERT, P times e to the RT power. P again is your original amount of your investment. R is still your rate. And T is going to be your time in years. E is just that constant base, so we don't even have to know what E equals. We don't have to calculate it this time. It says if Mrs. Fry invests $3,000 at 5.1% interest compounded continuously, how much will she have in 10 years? That should be a question mark right there. All right, so we know that the original investment is $3,000. We know our rate, we have to convert, so 5.1% means we plug in 0.051 into our formula. We always move it 2 to the left. And the time we're going to incorporate is 10 years. A would be how much money I would have if we invest $3,000 compounded continuously. That's how we can use the E. And then again, it's just a matter of using that parenthesis 0.051 times 10. You should be able to type that all in at once. And since we're finding out a money answer, we're going to round to the nearest penny. That would mean 2 places past the decimal. In 10 years, I would have $4,995.87. And that's using the PERT formula with continuous compounded interest. That's lesson 7.3.